Hello, everyone. I made a 30-minute video yesterday, but I had of course, 1 second that slipped. So I deleted it, even though there was a lot of gold. All right, this is all about editing, presentation, flow. Anyway. It's sitting on all of us really heavy, and it's all like kind of threadbare and base, and now that we're all caught up psychologically, right? That's like, there it is. That's right. So, right, the women, right, and they stole my secret. Right? When I put it on paper, they said, "This means something. It's not." Right? Do you understand what we're saying, Quentin? And he, right, didn't want to. Right. Anyway. Right? If he's been a sadistic, miserable bastard, hey doggy. My cancer dog got all the tumors removed and is not an organ failure. But she's quite old. But hopefully you live another 3 or 4 years, boo-boo. But, right, if he's been a miserable bastard for the last 9 years, right, because he can't, come to terms, with this thing, right, that's, right, it's a hardcore psychological truth, right? But my point is that there's no going back. It's done, right? Genie's out of the fucking lamp. As far as them and me and, keeping it the way that it is, it's just miserable. It's just misery for everyone involved every day. There's no way, right, that they're reading these emails, right? And I guess that it must be true. There's not really any other reason for why they're still accepting my emails, right? Is that, right, their legal counsel told them that if you do not read, not only accept the mail, but read it, then you open yourself up to him bringing the authorities there and saying, I've been expressing concern for these people's safety. You get it? They refuse to say anything about it to me. There it is. Right? So, it's just a meat grinder. He's just like fucking boom, 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 humiliation. And I humiliated him as a psychic, right? As a man, that's how he sees it. Right? And I get that. It's not that I don't respect him, right? It's that I don't respect him as a psychic. I respect no psychic. No one surpasses my clairvoyance. Yes. Right? I'm so clairvoyant, I choose not to be. That's the point. Right? How did Christ walk on water? Because he knew he didn't need to. Get it? Right? And so in that way, right, they all saw that. Me just radiating divinity, right, out of my head. And they said, nope, this guy's going to help us. Right? We can't live the way that we live with you anymore. No more sadism. No more bondage. No more evil. Right? And it's very complicated. This isn't, right? He has grounds for trauma, And I respect that, of course. I don't discount it. But no, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's honestly. Like, for all that he has all this freaky shit in all of his films, all I can see is a bunch of sexual prude weird occultists. That's what I put in one of my emails, and that is kind of how I see it. I thought that's what I was. Right? As far as seeing the divinity of life and spiritual mystery, oh, you want to play the spiritual mystery game? Right? Right? You were fucking evil, right? And you tried to play black magic games against my soul. So you let me put babies in all these women. That's a measure for measure, that's it's got nothing to do with right how it is, but it does have something to do with how it is, isn't it? Right? That he's trying to compel me to submit. And so I'm saying, boom, I exercise my mind like this. Splat! Right? I have some arguments. Again, this is like fair terms. Like, I'm not saying you got to predict the Super Bowl as a clairvoyant, right? I know that's a stupid fucking request, right? I'm not saying that you have to believe in telepathy. I'm not saying that you have to believe in remote viewing. I'm not saying that you have to believe in thaumaturgy. All these things, right? The only contention scientifically that has to be proven is that a thought is not local. And it is intrinsically obvious that a thought is not local because anyone can have any thought anywhere at any time. Therefore, you immediately prove the intellectual viability, right, of materializing a thought and the force associated with it in creation in a disparate locale with your thinking machine, which is your brain, conscious awareness. Right? And so in the email, I argue that all that has to be proven legally, is that you can show that you engender a physiological spike in the biorhythms of the target at the same time. This is all in Appendix 3 in my novel, right? But that in that, right, it's not like an easy case to prove. It's not like, oh, boom, 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 he held a gun. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very niche, right? My point is that if he was a real practitioner, right, if he took this fucking thing seriously, he would have told no one, right? That's the point. But he involved the whole town, right? Because this is all he has, I guess. Like it really is that easy, in that way. That's how he sees it. And I don't see it that way. I choose not to see it that way, right? That's what, right? And beyond that, beyond like how shockingly similar it is, right? It's about psychic occultism. It's not about the fact that I'm fine, right? It's not about the fact that they're all fine. Like, that's like, there it is, we're all hot. Yep, there it is. Right? It's about him just grinding them to pulp for fucking a decade. That's the point. Right? Because he's so unwell in his mind, he can't unpack, right? Like, what's occurring spiritually, psychologically in him, right? Right? So I got pissed off. Right? I got pissed off when he turned his back on me because I thought he was disrespecting me as a psychic. But now I see what he really is saying is that, right, I'm afraid to talk to you because you'll steal everything from me. I didn't see that. I couldn't see that. Right? Because they all want you. The girls all want you. And they're all in my ass about it. Right? And if I play the games that I always play, with you, with these girls, then it won't be the same like spell that I saw in my mind. Right? It will be them remembering you. Not remembering me, remembering you. And that's, right, that's a palpable psychological argument in that way. I thought it was about a writer, right? And it is about a writer, right? But it's not, right? Again, I've said this in other videos, right? I thought it was like a guy who like maybe had a job, right? Who spends, like Travis Bickle, right? Like he drives a cab, but he goes to pornographic movie theaters. But when he goes to the theater, he's writing, like that's like, if Travis Bickle was a movie critic, that's like, right? And so since he never wanted to be honest with himself, right, with these women, with me, with the studio, with anyone, about what this film like actually represents, and because everyone knows, right, they're all, right, that it in fact makes a shocking amount of sense, right? It makes like absolute crystal clear sense, right? That they would all say, we have to, right, like, no, we're gonna stand up on this moment. Because like we know what you want to do, we know how you are. Brian does not understand what's occurring. If you speak to him, if you let us speak to him, right, we know that he will help you, and then we'll be happy, we'll feel safe. Right? Yes, that's my point. That's my point. And so no one has addressed it. And now it's perhaps this disgusting thing, right? First degree rape, like this isn't, it's not a joke. No one's joking. right? I have so much that I could say. I know that I need to be sending an email. I know that I need to be writing. But now I see it. Now it's like, it's obvious. And it's hard, It's hard. It's not, What I told Ari in my email is that I kind of have to take, don't I? That I can't just say, okay, good luck in the world. Doesn't work that way, That's me being selfish again. So I was selfish the first time, and I hurt Quentin a lot, and I've helped him, right? Come to terms with what he is, right? That he's finally addressing it, right? In a meaningful way, right? And so you talk about it, you accept it, you see life for what it is, this beautiful mystery, right? And I'm sorry about all the things that I said, like seeing it for what it is, right? The things about it, a snot cloud over LA, and that's like, it's kind of true. It's kind of not untrue, but right, he struggles just like I do, like I know that. Right? So I think that it's safe to assume that the women, right, the Daniela, right, she's maybe been waiting for 5 years, since she realized the truth, right, for a way out, knowing how sick he is, right, and so it turned into 4 because of the movie, not because, right, he has these 4 women living at his house all the time, right, but because he was going to treat them just like he treats the 2 at the house on the set. And they said, no, we can't, no, we're not going to act like we don't have legitimate opinions about who comes inside of us. You get it? Who enters inside of us on camera. We know what you're trying to do, right? We want him. That's it. No him, no movie. We want the angel. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Right? And I hate saying this. I hate like deconstructing it as like a fucking plexiglass slide on a microscope. Dexter, But, I can't be selfish again. That's the point. I can't. No more. I'll just give of myself forever until I see that they're safe. Right? And so the argument that my therapist made was that, oh, what if you end up in the hospital in California and they're free, but then you're stuck in the hospital? I said, deal. That's fair. You have to stand for something. You have to be prepared to say, no, this is about goodness. This is about decency. It's not about, right? You can't live like that, Quentin. You can't, right? And it's hard, It's hard. I know that he's exhausted. I know that all of those women are sick of it. That they're all, like, how is he holding them? I don't know. Like, are they all fed through a hole in the door and he gives them crackers twice a day? Oh, it can't be proven. Well, there's no way to prove it legally. Right? Right? That's a yucky idea, isn't it? That's kind of like a criminal idea, isn't it? Right? I don't make plans around the legality of things or not. Right? But that's right. And the point that I made in the email is that there's nothing saying it will always be illegal. It will always not be illegal. Pardon me. Right? That the law changes every time they pass a vote. And I damn sure notified every state representative for the state of California. Right? Deep psychological trauma. Right? Deep spirit possession. Right? So, right? It's become a true battle for the soul, Like, I was so oblivious, of course. Like, I like, in my arrogant hubris, I stepped into, right, the dragon's lair,
I see that. He's a dragon too, of course. It's just two vipers, just, right? And so, right, I have the glory of God, right? He has the glory of himself, right? That's, there it is. And so, right, I could wax intellectual about this for another 30 minutes, easy. And maybe I will, but my point is that, right, it's fleeting, it's transitory, right? And all these things, you know, that you can't, right? You have no control. That's the point, you know? And so, right, you can't exercise control over people and demand that they stay where they don't want to be and don't go the only place that they want to go to. Doesn't matter that they can go anywhere else. That's the point. Basic, inviolable human right. Simple legal argument. And this in no way addresses the myriad of felonies that I contend have possibly occurred as well. Right? 12, 13, 14, 15 felonies. Does Courtney Braun think that if I write the Attorney General's office every day and demand she be sanctioned by the disciplinary board, by the ethics committee, that they're not going to take that seriously? Is that right? If I say that Quentin Tarantino is holding these women hostage forever, like, are the press like gonna ignore it forever? Is that, like, do we honestly like think that? Because that's like, I'm not saying different things every day. I'm saying the same thing every day. Right? That he's keeping them from me, right? Because he likes to play the psychic mind game. And when I opted out, they opted out. Because they saw that I understood. Right? And so what does this say about show business, right? What does this say about Hollywood, right? What does this say about the state of esotericism, right, in these sovereign United States? Right? So when people say things like Antichrist, people say things like, right, evil, right? See, people say things like satanic, etc., etc., etc. Right? Yes, he's what they're referring to. That he uses his mind as a demiurge, right? As a lever, like as a fulcrum, to act as a pressure pivot. Anyone can do it. Right? Pure mechanical energy, right? This is not a joke, right? Take for instance any number of times. And I don't know if this is all his mind. His mind might be that strong. He is a master. I can't stress that enough. That's why it's me and me alone, right? Can't stress that enough. Right? That it's just dangerous now. That's all it is, right? And he knows that when the five of us are together, it's over. No more fighting. No more evil. No more wickedness. Yes, that's the point. But take, for example, any number of the times, right, that I felt, right, disgusting psychic pressures in the form of gunshots. Right? And so the idea is, right, say we take this picture of Mikey Madison, right? If you see, there's 20 subdivisions of the circle, right? And so that's, right, 4 5-pointed stars, right, surrounding her eye, perfectly surrounding her pupil and iris, right? None of the lines go through the center, right? So you have a circle, and then you have another circle, right? Anyway, my point is that, right, say that I want this bitch to suffer, right? It's all there in the novel, right? I do this, right? I think about the form. Right? I close my eyes, I project the form. Oh, and on the other eye, it's kind of hard to see this one. There's a 10-pointed star, right? So you skip 3 points, and then you keep going. It goes 10 lines around it. Anyway, you meditate on the forms in your mind's eye. Boom, you cast them. Right? This is how it's done. Right? And then when I see her, right, I pull out the 357, right? And in the novel, Sarah has like a true bust of Alistair's head, which is Quentin. Right? Pentagram over his eye. And she points right at the pentagram. Right? Closes her eye, wait till she sees it in her mind's eye. Bang! Right? That's the game. Right? And so what you're doing is you're pushing the electrical condition of the thought force out, into creation to find its target. How it gets there, is it quantum entanglement? Is it the actual pushing of a physical electrical field? Right, we're on the frontiers right now. Like, who can say these things? Right, but at any rate, that pressure, right, coagulates upon the target, right, as a physical electrical pressure upon their body. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And so when that electricity passed through my head, when he was trying to see me suffer, it transmuted the electrical energy into mechanical energy and made my skull vibrate in my head. Yes, that's like what I'm saying, right? Because the skeleton is piezoelectric, right? And so it transmutes electrical energy into mechanical energy. Electricity goes into it, vibrating comes out of it, right? Sound wave. You get it? Right? So this is the legal argument. This is where you are kind of like treading into legitimate legal territory. That if you can prove, right, a legitimate fluctuation, right, your hormone levels change, your blood pressure rises, your temperature rises, right, your skull starts vibrating, right, you start having a seizure, all these things, right, then in that very rarefied instance, right, you can make legitimate like legal arguments as to their intent being enough, like a true thought crime. Now let's talk about all the ways that you can't ever prove it, right, and why that compels them to stay. Right? Let's just say that I take my magical talisman, right, and I want that witch to suffer, which I don't want that. Right? If I find her with my mind's eye while she's driving, dead. Easy. I have the strongest lungs in the world. Man, I hate saying that. I hate being like a horse's ass about it, but it is what it is. And so, right, if I see her and I'm like on her in this way that he likes to like behave with people, right, I can scream at the top of my lungs and give her a splitting migraine that makes her see a blinding white light so that she fucking careens off the road and hits a fucking 18-wheeler and kills herself. Yes, no trial, no nothing. Oh, mysterious. Right, that's the point. That's the point. So if they fucking start to dial 911, right? And honestly, they're in the house now. He'd probably blow them all away. He's sick. He's not well in his mind. But if they're driving to Euphoria season 3, you get it? If they're driving to the Hollywood Reporter, right? And they're just like burning. They just like, I want to go to the fucking airport right now. Right? But if he exacts, you get it? Like this is right. This is right. Right, that's a deep sadistic evil that only a dumbass would invite upon themselves, and that's the humor of it, isn't it? That's like, I'm a dumbass. That's the point. That's the point. And I've said it for a long time. On some level, this is what I signed up for, right? But at the same time, this is what he signed up for, right? And if all of this is stemming from his wife's misery, from her deep depression, then right, he's got to be cool. That's the point. Like you got to be cool about this one. That's right. Right. Does he have the right to keep her from me and me alone? Has the law technically addressed it? I don't think that it has. I think that's like why we're here, because they had a yucky, ugly conversation. And Courtney thought about it, and then he said, oh, it can't be proven legally. And he cast his spell upon her mind. Right? And she became a slut who supports rape. That's the point. Right? This is not, right? So, I guess I have to keep writing. I don't know, I don't know what else to do. I need to get out there. I guess that it really is, it's like, I have to get out there. God damn. So petty, so simple. Right? No money. He's got, even if his wife is like, no, I keep the money. We're done. Right? That there's no way he doesn't have $25 million, $30 million. Right? I've never had $1 million. Let alone 30. Right? My point is that he'll be fine. But anyway, this isn't about money. It's never been about money. Right? That's what they saw. Right? When I sent that first curse, they knew, oh, he's a master. He's a real master. This is serious now. This isn't funny. Just calm down, right? Brian, he's cool. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. And he's been raging ever since to stifle my light, and all he's done is brought us closer together. You know, if those scenes went down, they're half as bad as what I think, and I think that they are. I think that right. He'll probably give them to me after he gets them all abortions. Like, yeah, that's like what I think. And then he'll say, there it is. That's what you get for not playing the Hollywood mind game. Nasty beat up pussy. That's like, yeah, that's like what I'm saying. And it's just as fucked up as it gets. I don't care. They don't care. He's a loser. I want him to get the help that he needs. I mean that with all sincerity. You know? I have a lot that I could say about it. As far as, you know, what it means to be in love, what it means to be devoted. Right? Why I couldn't see it for so long. That it's pretty painfully obvious. Right? That she thought she wanted Hollywood, but now that she's in it. Right? So my point is that there's levels, there's degrees, right? And so my argument is sound, logically, intellectually, legally. That if everyone was on the same page, right? We always try to live our lives with the least amount of stress, with the least amount, right? Like, it's unhealthy to suggest anything else. Right? And so if everyone was like, yeah, you're a fucking hardcore badass, fuck that guy, like, let's fucking do hardcore shit, then we wouldn't be here now. And he would have said, here's the money, I like you, but like, I don't play that game, like, that's not the game we play here in Hollywood. And I would have respected that, of course, right? No pussy, no women, right? Like, I don't, like, that's not, I would have cried immediately and said, I'm sorry, I knew what time it was. Take that scene, we're good, right? But if it was like a weird reverse initiation, like on some way, and on some level, right, where Daniela's been miserable for, 4 years, 5 years. And she said, I have this one shot. I got this one shot to like get to this man and like actually have a decent life because he sees how sick Quentin is and I can explain everything to him. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That all four of them, right? The two that live at his house, right? Knowing what he is, what he intends to do. And the two that were in the movie, right? Each for their own reasons, but for the same reason. Right? That Quentin has deep psychological issues and intended to, right, compel something to occur, right, to satisfy his psychological shortcomings. That's my point. And so that's, right, it's not the act itself. It's not the conspiracy. It's not the desire. It's the fact that they had no say in how it transpired, right? That's a crime. That is not legal. Right? And so it's like this wide, it's as wide as the horizon. It's not just like one element. It's like 11 elements, Very clear, very focused, right? It would, right? As far as it can be argued legally, it can be argued like it's not impossible to be illegal. Like nothing, there's never impossible for anything to be illegal in a democratic state. That's the point. That the penal code, right, is this transmuting kind of like shifting thing, right? Someone might say the Constitution is absolute. I'm more towards that end, right? But then there's the Ruth Bader Ginsburg school that it's mutating as well, like with the times, and so they both must be true, right? I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. Oh, this crazy guy. I know they're all exhausted. Right, my point is that if you can measure, right, my bones rattling when someone's torturing me with psychic occultism, then you prove lethal viability. You prove intellectual viability. You prove legal culpability. Only if all the pieces are in place. It's not like any instance that this occurs. Again, if she was driving, right, if Quentin's driving, right, if I'm driving, right, anyone can do this, and all that happens is he lost control of his car and he's dead. That's the whole story. Right? But if he, right, we're thinking rationally, we're thinking logically, we're thinking reasonably, right? Simply, right? Isn't it far likelier that when he was like, fuck that guy, I don't want to talk to that guy, I gave him a shot, that they saw something like deeper inside of him and said, no, this man, like Brian, he's like touching on something that's like really serious, and we're not interested in going the rest of our lives without addressing it. That's the point. That's the point. That no one else around you is prepared to look you in the eye and say, what's your fucking problem with why you do what you do? Yes, that's the point. That's the point. That they knew that I will look him in the eye and say, tell me what you get out of this. Tell me why you feel so compelled to behave this way all the time. Because it doesn't make anyone happy. And there's only one reason, and I don't want to say it. I don't have to say it. But it's a real reason. It's a real reason. That never has to be talked about, right? Just like mine. You get it? But I think that makes a lot of sense, right? And so now, right, he's been avoiding it. He's been avoiding it this entire time on some level, right? But he's a sadistic, evil asshole, and he's been holding them against their will. That's my point, right? Is it technically a crime to prevent someone from going to someone else? I can argue, yes, it should be illegal. It should be an illegal action, right? You don't have to physically tie someone up, but they might be tied up now, right? Like, oh, they give daily, right? Like, are they so conspiratorial, every single one of them, that they have scheduled 3 minutes to see all of them on video and make sure that he's not like actually physically beating them? They're like taking their clothes, like it's like this clinical sort of surgical exercise in legality. Is that where we're at now? Like in this thing? Right? I'm finding it harder and harder to justify like why we're still talking about it, honestly. Like why, right? Why I haven't spoken to them privately. Right? He's just like exercising all of this control like over the situation, and he needs to relax. He has to relinquish control, right? Let the angels go. Right? And he'll find another one, right? Angel of darkness, right? That's the point. That's the point. Like the idea, like I don't know that he ever like believed in the idea of like a soulmate. That's like the point that like I'm getting at right now. And so all of those women, right? They said, no, Quentin, this is about like something bigger than like controlling this man's mind, and we need you to address it. We need you, like we're not just going to act like we're okay with this because, right, this guy's everything, right? It's the most talented man we've ever known. And we don't accept anything less given what you expect us to do. That's the point. Hardcore black magic shit. Right, and so I was supposed to divine, I was supposed to intuit. Yes, I see that. It's my fault. It's not his fault. Right, that doesn't mean, right? Like, are we getting this here? Like, are we all caught up? Right? That I never wanted any women. That's not, right? And that's why they're all like, no, we have to go to him. Like, he's the only one. Right? Not because I'm fine, we're all fine, yeah, fucking hardcore shit, But because, right, I protect them, I keep them safe, right, as a clairvoyant, right? Because his sadism is so deep, it's so hideous, like no one understands it. Like we're the only people who understand it, right? That's the point. That's the point, that he's gone further and further and further off the rails, and they've all seen him degenerate this entire time and get worse and worse and worse in his tactics, just escalating, right? Perhaps it's all the Hollywood mind game, but I don't think that's true. Right? And that's why I say, right, when I laid that first curse, right, upon their reproductive organs, that they all were like, nope, we're cool, we're good. You need to calm down. You need to calm down, Quentin. This is not like we didn't sign up for this. Right? That makes sense. And that made him even more upset. That's my point. Because he's losing control, right? That he's seeing a man behave as a psychic in the world, right? That he does not control. right? And those women, right, that he has debased all these years and treats so awfully all the time, right, that now they're like, right, we want him. We want a psychic who looks up, right, the MRI brain scans of when women have orgasms. That's what we want. That's better. Right? And again, like, how could I blame them? Yes, I'm awesome. Right? But my point is that it didn't have to be this, right? Like if he was decent, right? Soulmate, right? Like that's like, again, like it's about love, right? It's about trust, right? He married Daniela because she's fine and she has a bunch of money. That's like, it's, right? It's seeming pretty obvious now that he like manipulated her for her money and to violate her body because she's immaculate, right? 10 out of 10. So beautiful. Right? But my point is that now that like everyone's kind of looking at it and saying, I don't know how to feel about this anymore. I don't know. Right? So I'm chipping away at the barriers a little more every day. Right? I should have seen it. I should have seen it and been gracious and done the film and right? And then in those moments, right, I would have said it's just us. It's okay. And he hates that. He hates that. That's the point. That's the point. The fact that I could like tell them in that special psychic way, right? That it's just the two of us, right? And so you understand why, right? He bound them, he gagged them, and he blinded them. He wanted them like sensory deprived. You get it? So that they have to look in here. It's all there. It's all threadbare, right? Hardcore psychological shit, right? Conception, conceiving, right? It's sick. No, this is sick. This is as sick as it gets, right? He could have, right? He could have respected them a single time, right? Like they're women, you understand? Like they get emotions. That's the point. That's the point. And when I fucking, right, when they stole my secret and I put it on paper, they said, this is so meaningful. You don't you appreciate like what you're seeing here? Yes, that's my point. And so now, right, it's just this like yucky thing, right, where it's like I've humiliated us all, to like everyone, Daniela's family, and I feel that I have to because I feel that they're not safe. That's the point. That's the point. Perhaps it was all a deep sadistic game, like that we can all like legitimately say that, right? When they have my babies and not Brad Pitt's, right? So, exercises in control often end in loss of control. Often, almost always, inevitably always, right? Quentin has exercised a sadistic dominion over the industry, over everyone close to him, his entire life. He tricked Daniela Pick into marrying him, right, with a deep sadistic manipulation that can only be described as high evil. The same sadistic torture he exacts upon me and 3 other women. I don't really know what else to say. That I'll never believe otherwise until I see them in person, devoid of representation, devoid, right? They can have the LAPD in the room, right? All these things. But if you understand the scene, right? If you understand the novel, if you understand psychic occultism, all these things, right? That the mind is a weapon, right? That's like, right? That knowledge is power. That's right? It's not a bullshit ad hoc. You know, it's not like, no, it stems from a primal truth. Right? That when you understand how the universe works, you can manipulate the mechanical pressures of creation to engender a change in yourself or in the universe. That is objectively true. And now I'm laying out clear legal definitions for how it can be measured. This is not to say that anyone can just say, oh, I'm going to go to a cancer ward and heal the sick. But the point that I'm making is that they could all be doing that. That's the point. Right? That's what we're all going to do. Right? Maybe once a month, maybe 5 times a year, you know, like not a lot. And like you can't, like, you know, we do what we can and we move on, you know. But that excites me. That excites me as a clairvoyant. Right? And so again, right, it's all reducible. It's all reducible to, and that's a lot. That's like, as far as success and failure and all these things, you know. God, it's all there, isn't it? It's all fucking there. God damn. Right? As far as his psychology and why he struggles so much. There's no easy answer. There's no easy answer. Right? But if he convinced her to marry him because she wanted kids, right? Do I have to keep going, right? That's fucked up. That's fucked up. You know? That's not rooted in love. That's not, right? I think that, right, these girls are interested in being in love. That's like what I think. Dorky lover boy. Paul Dano, Matthew Lillard. Right? And it's all so unnecessary. Right? God damn, you know? What can I say? I suppose I'm gonna write. It's enough. Anyway. Right? We all need each other. It's just weird now. Anyway, God bless.